Blue Angels fly the F-18s and the Thunderbirds fly the F-16s. If you're still on the fence, pick the service that has the flight demonstration team you like better. No, that's stupid.
3, 2, 1, flight off.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Money's with Mover. It's Monday, I'm Mover, CW Lemoyne. I wrote some books. If you like books, pick them up, it helps support the channel. Today's episode, if you're not familiar, I have the Make Them Tell You No Facebook group that helps aspiring young fighter pilots and aviators answer questions that I maybe don't have time to answer through the Mover mailbag or just through email. I've got a bunch of fighter pilot friends and pilot friends that are helping out with that. And on that group last week, someone posted an article that's titled, Why Most People Don't Have What It Takes to Be a Fighter Pilot. It was on We Are the Mighty, and it's actually a very familiar topic. If you remember last year, I did a response video to infographics that had a pretty similar topic.
You better be in peak physical condition to have a chance of becoming a fighter pilot. You need to be able to avoid passing out or vomiting.
Has nothing to do with the PT test.
And your hearing and vision better be laser sharp as well, with uncorrected 20/20 vision.
Don't know where they got that absolutely wrong. So I know I cover a lot of this stuff over and over on the channel, but I do like to make sure the information is correct and kind of crush the ignorance when it comes to this stuff, because I don't like that people think that it's some impossible task. So today we're going to go through this article and kind of talk about why this is probably not accurate. So let's get right into it. We Are the Mighty, and it was written December 11th, 2018. So it's not new, about a year old, but it's still circulating. So it was posted by one of the guys on the group there. So it says, why most people don't have what it takes to be a fighter pilot. What's not to love about being a fighter pilot? Even the troops who continually bash the Air Force get a little giddy when they hear the burr of an A-10 in combat. That's true. And when you actually meet a fighter pilot, you'll rarely see them without a huge smile on their face because they know they own the sky. The sky is mine, Sherdil. Uh-oh. The sky is mine. Sounds pretty sweet, right? Well, we're sorry to say, but you very likely don't make the cut. In order to even be considered for the lengthy training process that fighter pilots go through, you have to be in the top percentile of healthy, capable bodies. If you're still curious how you'd stack up, check out the requirements below. So basically, they tell you you're disqualified, but they're like, well, if you're still curious, why don't you read this? First and foremost, you begin your journey at the Military Entrance Processing Station, or MEPS. They'll check you for disqualifying factors that apply to all service members and the initial qualifiers that dictate pilot selection. That's true. I went to MEPS. Once I already had a pilot slot, they send you to the MEPS, and you do the basic physical. So that is true. You do have to be qualified to be in the military in order to do this. Most people are well aware of the strict vision requirements of pilots, but it's much more intensive than a regular checkup at the optometrist. You cannot be colorblind, which immediately disqualifies about 8.5% of the population, and you must have 20/20 vision uncorrected. God. Okay. The color blindness thing is true. The color vision tests have changed and the standards have changed. It used to be much stricter than it is now. The Navy and the Air Force now actually have the same standards. And the 20/20 vision thing uncorrected, Jesus, I don't know why that is still a thing here in 2020. It hasn't been that way for a really long time. I personally, back in 2005, when I went through this process, I got a waiver for excessive astigmatism. Never worn glasses, but I was outside of the diopter limit. And that is what it is now. Now it is corrected to 20/20, and you have to be within the diopter refractive error limits. That's it. It's 2200, I think, for a little bit, but now the most recent thing, at least according to my friend over at Right Pat, is they're just going to the refractive error standards. So 20/20 vision uncorrected, I cannot foot stomp this enough, is not the standard anymore. So there you go. Now, clean off your glasses before you read this shocker. Perfect vision is actually very uncommon. Probably. According to studies from the University of Iowa, a low 30% of the population enjoys 20/20 vision uncorrected. But it's also worth pointing out that at this stage in the selection process, they disqualify those who have a history of hay fever, asthma, or allergies after the age of 12. That's true. And a lot of this stuff is waiverable. That's why I always say make them tell you no. And by make them tell you no, I mean make the person that can actually make the decision be the one to tell you no. Don't tell yourself no. Don't self-eliminate. Don't let somebody who's not in a position. Don't take these articles and use them as a way to discourage yourself. Go actually find a source. Make sure it says .mil on it if you're going to get an actual standards, and find out for yourself what the actual waiver requirements are and whether or not it's actually possible to do this, and don't just take their word for it. You must also have a standing height of between 5'4" and 6'5" and a sitting height of 34 to 40 inches. That's true. And then we've got this picture here. It says, if you pass these, then you can start your journey at OCS, then resume your pilot training requirements. Well, that actually says OTS. Air Force goes to OTS. So it's a U.S. Air Force photo, and you go to OTS. OCS is for the Navy or Army, but not the Air Force. We call it OTS. Additionally, you must already be on your way to becoming an officer in the branch that you wish to fly with. Once you've completed your branch's officer training, you can finally submit your flight packet. Wrong. So that's just wrong. In OTS and OCS, you already have a pilot slot before you go to your commissioning source. So it's not like you go to OCS or OTS, whichever one, and you become a second lieutenant or ensign, and then it's like, okay, well, I hope I get a pilot slot or else I'm going to go be a submariner. No. You apply for it. In some cases, you have to put alternates like Wizzo or something like that, but you get your pilot slot prior to that. Commissioning happens after. You're already in the pipeline by the time you commission, so this is incorrect. Then there's the physical fitness exam. Everyone in the Air Force must undergo the U.S. Air Force physical fitness test, but fighter aircrews have a different, more difficult one called the Fighter Aircrew Conditioning Test. The test gauges whether a candidate's body will be able to withstand the insane amount of G-forces a fighter pilot endures. Not really. I don't even know if they're still doing the FACT test, is what it's called. That is true. You have to pass the Air Force PT test. That is true. It's a 1.5 mile run, push-ups, sit-ups, and a waist measurement. Yes, we do a waist measurement. But it's not, I mean, it's built for runners. That's the Air Force way, skinny runners. That's what they want. That part you do have to pass, and that's just a requirement to be an officer. But the FACT test is, when I went through, we did it as a practice run in T-38s, and then we did it for real in the F-16. I'm not sure they're even still doing this, and when we did it, it wasn't a big deal. It's like your body weight for certain exercises on the machine for like 10 reps. It was something stupid. I mean, it's really, if you're in any kind of shape, you can do this. And it also doesn't really gauge your ability to pull G's. What it gauges your ability to pull G's is going to the centrifuge, which sucks, but you got to get through it. All right, Navy and Marine pilots must also undergo the Aviation Selection Test Battery and score among the highest. The test is extremely grueling, and if you fail once, your chances to become a pilot drop significantly. Fail 3 times in your lifetime, you're never to be considered again. Correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't do the ASTB, but I think that is a pre-commissioning test. So to get your pilot slot, you have to take that. So this is kind of out of order. It's like the AFOQT, which you take prior to going, and then you take, then you get your PCSM score. So I think this is just a little out of order. And then we have a picture of people in a pool. It says you'll also need to be able to swim 1 mile in a flight suit. Good luck. U.S. Air Force photo. So I don't know if they meant to do this, but this is a picture of Moody Air Force Base ALO training in their pool confidence course. These are not pilots. The Air Force does not have any swimming requirements for selection or for pilot training or anything like that. You don't even go to water survival until you graduate pilot training. The Navy does. You have to do the 1 mile swimming gear and all that stuff, but it's the Navy. You got boats. But the Air Force, which this is a picture of the Air Force, which kind of seems to indicate that you have to do this in the Air Force, doesn't. That's not a thing. You do have to be able to swim because you have to be able to get yourself in the life raft and do all the water survival stuff, but there's no test for it. You're not going to wash out if you can't swim 1 mile in a flight suit. I've never had to do that in my entire career. If you're smart enough, strong enough, and have good enough eyes, then you might be selected to begin the training to become a fighter pilot. That's right, your journey is just beginning. Okay, true. To learn about these schools, the physical requirements, and more, check out this video from the infographic show. Jesus Christ. Okay, and guess what? The video's gone. You click on it. It's private. They took it down. And this is what I'm talking about. Bad info begets bad info. So this dude wrote an article, probably watched this video, wrote an article, and fake news to fake news. That's why you can't trust, because this is circular, right? This is a bad video that had all bad information that just turned around and made even more bad information. So, yeah, anyway, and check this out. The 5 differences between Navy and Air Force fighter pilots. Should I do this on this video or do another one here? Let's click on it and see what happens. Okay, so more We Are the Mighty. This is June of 2015, so it's a little old. What are the differences between Navy and Air Force fighter pilots? Well, I'm interested in that since I've flown in both of them. Some T-45s. Both the Navy and Air Force flight schools take just less than 2 years to go from indoc to winging. Air Force training, yep. The first phase also includes 25 hours of classroom instruction and flight techniques. Initial training takes one of these 3 places. Columbus, Laughlin, or Vance. Now that's, so you forgot about Shepherd there, but IFT does not happen there. So they're talking about introductory flight training. That actually happens at Pueblo. So then they don't do it at these bases. This is bases, the Columbus, Laughlin, and Vance are actually UPT bases. Yeah, because it says after that, students go into specialized undergraduate pilot training, a year-long program of 10 to 12-hour days. So yeah, it's not these. You got to go, if you're going to do IFS, IFT, whatever they're calling it now, you have to go to Pueblo to do it. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it's like every time I talk about this, they've changed it. Now they're doing UPT next with VR stuff, so it's hard to keep up. So you go do a T6. I think the T-34 is gone. And then the track select E6B. Good Lord, this is an old article. Selections based on needs of the service. I agree with that. Student performance and their preference. Biggest difference between the Air Force and Navy pipeline? What do you think? The boat. Yeah, aircraft carrier. So, yeah, then they report to their operational base. So far, so good. Career path. Both services try to strike a balance between operational, educational, staff tour. Much of how the career grows is up to world events. Yep, that's true. 2 flying tours, 10-year mark. Yeah, that's not too bad. Air Force has made more drone pilots than fighter pilots annually. I'm not sure if that's still true. This is a little old. And then this is a picture of Moose Fontenot. He passed away 2013, so a year before this article was made. The missions. Oh, now we're getting interesting. Currently, Air Force fighter pilots are generally more specialized and focused on the air-to-air role. The focus involves a lot of radar training and intercept work, as well as some dogfighting. Where did they get this? No. We're focused on... Well, you're going to tell an A-10 guy this? F-16s? I mean, F-16s now do air-to-air and air-to-ground, but we focus on the current threat. So, a lot of the last 20 years has been low-intensity combat in Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria and all that stuff. So, U.S. Air Force assets would assume the offensive role, manning combat air patrol stations or confided, Eagles maybe, and Raptors. Navy fighter pilots fly multi-mission aircraft, so therefore they wind up flying a lot of missions beyond air-to-air while striving to stay proficient in dogfighting. Okay. True, but Strike Eagles, Vipers, A-10s are doing the air-to-ground stuff. This is mostly wrong. And Navy fighter pilot missions often begin end aboard an aircraft carrier, which involves a level of training and focus foreign to Air Force. But that's just insulting. Now, granted, yes, landing on the boat is hard and nighttime, and there's a lot of skill to it. But level of training and focus foreign to Air Force pilots, we're just goofing off playing video games, right? That's stupid. All right, duty stations. You're on a boat. Navy bases along the coast. Air Force has bases around the world. Garden spots like Bagram, Afghanistan, and Turkey. Yeah, I don't know that you'd call those. That's probably just tongue-in-cheek. The difference is between the two services. Fighter pilots spend a lot of time aboard carriers at sea. Yeah, true. And they are long deployments. I mean, you're talking, they can be 6 months to a year, depending on if they extend or whatever. So you absolutely could have a long time there. Aircraft. Navy fighter pilots currently fly either the 1 or 2 seat version of the Super Hornet. This is old because the F-35 is around. Air Force fighter pilots are assigned to fly either the F-15C or the Raptor. What about the Viper? The Viper, the Strike Eagle, the A-10, the A-10. The other article had the Burt. You guys don't know about the A-10? Or are you not calling Viper? Are you saying we're not fighter pilots? Anyway, wrong. In the future, both services will have the F-35. True. They have them now. So, again, this is an old article. Blue Angels fly the F-18s and the Thunderbirds fly the F-16s. If you're still on the fence, pick the service that has the flight demonstration team you like better. No. That's stupid. I mean, that's really stupid. I mean, go for the Air Force for per diem, obviously. Jeez, come on. All right, that's the end. And that's probably enough of losing brain cells on this. So, point being, if you are interested in becoming a fighter pilot, interested in becoming a military pilot, or interested in anything in general, if you're researching something, do your homework beyond these clickbait articles, because that's what they are. I mean, sites like this, I don't know about the rest, maybe they have some good quality stuff, but a lot of this stuff, especially when they're using source material that's wrong, like the infographics, a lot of this stuff is bad information promoted through bad information promoted through bad information, and no one ever breaks the cycle. So go to the source, go to the .mil. It's changing. I mean, the waiver requirements, the age requirements in general have changed in the last 5 years. It's gone from the last 10 years, because at one point it was 28 you had to start, then it was 30, then now it's 32 for the Navy, 33 for the Air Force. It's a changing, moving target, and you just have to do your own homework, don't even rely on this video. Go do your own homework. I'm sure I may say something that's outdated, and that's why you don't look at the comment section on YouTube and try to get information. I've seen a couple people post in the comment section like, hey, I'm in high school and I need help. Tell me how to be a fighter pilot. YouTube comment section is not the place to do that. You need to do your homework. As part of being a fighter pilot is being a self-starter and being able to take the initiative and get this stuff done on your own. So do your homework, find it from the source, .mil, something reliable, someone you trust. Even recruiters, enlisted recruiters don't know a whole lot about the officer side, so you want to find an officer accessions recruiter. So that's just me on my soapbox. Just make sure you get the right information, and at the end of the day, even if it says no, sometimes there's a waiver. So just keep pushing. It doesn't cost you anything to apply. Press on. Make them tell you no. Don't tell yourself. Make the very final person in authority be the one to tell you no, and I guarantee you will have success. If not this, as a fighter pilot, then in life in general, because it's just a good way of living, because you just can't give up. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for watching. If you're looking for a charity support, I recommend Folds of Honor. They support fallen and injured veterans and their families with educational scholarships. So it's a great cause, and I'm very supportive of it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Excuse me. No. Oh! Been a lot of that. Usually fine with the doors off. All pots too. Don't be a douche. That's rule number 1. Make them tell you no.